Hi, I'm SJ, and welcome to Little Red Notebooks Take a Seat, a series of short conversations with neurodiverse trailblazers. In this episode, we're joined by Amanda Riley, founder of Thriving with Neurodiversity. Amanda lives with diagnosed ADHD. Hi, Amanda. Welcome to Take a Seat.
Morning. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Let's start off by talking about Thriving with Neurodiversity. It's a great name,
Yep.
and I love the concept of thriving.
Yes.
So tell us all about it.
Well, I was diagnosed with ADHD probably about 8 years ago, and I have two teenagers who are autistic ADHD. So it's a big part of our household, and just going through the process of the diagnoses and all that palaver, as I say, puts a real negative framework around the different neurotypes. And there's a purpose for that. I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but there is a purpose. But at some stage, I think it's really important that everyone's allowed to take a step back and kind of go, okay, so what are my strengths? Because everybody has strengths. During COVID, I did a short postgrad certificate in positive psychology at Melbourne Uni. And I just loved the strengths theory, and it just made so much sense, linked to well-being, etc. So that's kind of where the purpose and the name came from.
And what do you actually do?
My two teenagers are part of Gen Z, and they are the most neuro-aware generation coming forward. They're a lot more accepting of their differences most days, depending on the teenager, accepting of their differences. They are open about it, so they attract friends who are similar, and they are going to have so much resilience and so much understanding of how they work and what helps them to work and what makes them happy, that most workplaces are not ready for that, because they have a different way of working and seeing the world. And a lot of workplaces will just miss out on their unique strengths and perspectives because they're not ready for accepting those differences and just, being a bit more inclusive. So the driver for me is I've got a corporate background and change management background, etc. So the workplace kind of was a natural fit for me. And so I try go in and prepare as many workplaces as possible.
And how do you find that? How do you find that conversation?
I find it very interesting because I'm deeply embedded in all of this knowledge and research, and I have been for like 8 years. So it still amazes me sometimes how strong the myths and stereotypes are. So I've always spent time up front, in a fun way. We do a survey or a game or whatever and try and bust as many of those as possible, because I do workshops between 3 and 5 hours, but I also do coaching, but that's a separate thing. And to get that mindset shift, I've realized you've got to get people in the position where you're challenging them from the start in a nice and gently prodding way, so they can have that mindset shift. And I find a lot of contacts come to me through kind of like the middle management, I guess, or from people who have been diagnosed and and their managers need to or want to know more, etc. I do find a gap at the most senior sponsorship level at the moment, which is something I'm trying to work with. But it's the level of interest and the level of understanding people get, and the feedback I get from it is that, they find it fascinating, and they're very happy to walk away with a new set of skills as such, just to open their minds a bit, just be a bit more inclusive, and with practical tips. You don't have to spend any money to implement what I kind of share.
Yeah. What's your key message?
I think my key message is that it's time to ditch deficits and disorders and just replace it with different, and that there is nothing wrong with being different. So if we can look at different neurotypes as just another way of thinking and seeing and processing the world, then it has a lot more value if you position it like that. It has a lot more excitement around it, rather than it being a problem or a challenge, which of course it can be as well, and it is, but you've got to balance it.
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? It's that balance.
Yeah.
What have you learned from your children and in the way they approach neurodiversity?
Listen to anything from me, of course, even though I'm the one that may have the knowledge, because I'm the parent. But what I've found is that they just kind of get on with it. There are times, I mean, they do both struggle in the way society and schools have been set up for the normal brain as such. So they
Yep.
do have a lot of challenges. Um, and some days they dislike me and they blame me for those challenges because I'm the genetic link. Um, but they just kind of carry on. Um, their resilience is getting quite high, which is kind of a shame for kids their age. But yeah, they have different moments when they're inquisitive about it and when they just don't even want to talk about it. So it's kind of, to be honest, sometimes I don't know where I am with them. And because I talk about it, I'm like, we can do this and that, and they're just like eye roll and whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it. I have children myself, and
Yeah, yeah.
um, none of my children are neurodiverse, but they still don't listen. No.
No,
Uh,
it doesn't matter, what type of brain they have.
yeah, exactly.
Mm,
Let's talk about your ADHD.
mm.
Tell us about how the diagnosis came about, how you felt, and and what it's meant to you since.
All right. So my daughter was first diagnosed in grade 2 when she was 8, and that was probably 8 years ago, by a teacher that was very switched on, because inattentive girls, I didn't even know what inattentive ADHD was when she was diagnosed. Inattentive girls do get overlooked because they're very good at masking, or they're the daydreamer that looks out the window, etc. So we started the process of looking into hearing and sight and all those tests and stuff first, and then she got her diagnosis, and that was mind blowing for us because didn't know anything about ADHD, didn't know about inattentive, and that's what started my deep dive. And then I just loved finding out about it and the brain and how fascinating it was and how it helped explain so many things. Um, both my kids are autistic, and while I don't have an official diagnosis, I think some of it does come from me because I just love that data and that research and that there's a few signs. But anyway, and of course, as I was reading, I ticked so many boxes, and by then I was mid-40s and I was struggling, really, really struggling. Overwhelmed, at the burnout, but I didn't know how to label things back then. I was so confused about who I was and what I was and where I fit in, and never felt like I ever fitted in. And so when I got my diagnosis 18 months later, it was a mixture of emotions. It was not a surprise for me, but a surprise for everybody who knew me. Not anymore. But I'd come very close to breakdown by the time I got my diagnosis. So when I got it and I started meds, and I was just like, oh my God, this just makes so much sense. And it really was the most, I think, amazing revelation that I've ever had. And it literally did change how I perceived, or I could, for the first time ever, I could understand who I was. And I knew I fitted in somewhere. I wasn't sure at that stage where still, but I knew that I fitted in somewhere now. So all of a sudden I had these reasons for why I felt like I was on the outside, and I felt like, why do other people get things I didn't get and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it was the best decision I ever made, was to get my diagnosis. And I was quite lucky because I got it about 7 years ago. So I kind of beat the wave as such. So it was a lot quicker and simpler for me to get my diagnosis. Probably a bit cheaper too compared to now. I think, yeah, it's definitely the best thing that I could have done. And then the education process of everyone around me started.
We often talk about the accommodations we make, but I want to hone in on how your ADHD has liberated you.
Oh, definitely. I think being able to understand myself. So what I say, because I do ADHD coaching as well, I'm an accredited coach. And what I say to people is the process that I went through is find out as much information as you can. The best thing you can do for yourself and your ADHD is be curious, because it impacts people in different ways. And there's so many co-occurring conditions, and depending on your phase of life, if hormones are involved or not, and all that kind of stuff. So understand yourself and where it kind of challenges you, or actually where it kind of gives you strengths. And then focus on dealing with that, focus on the strengths a lot more, and understand what your roadblocks might be and how you can maybe minimize them a little bit, or, so I always go from the understand it, then and then flip it and just kind of take what you can from it, because it's you, it's part of you. You can't get rid of it. So it's far better to look at it from a strengths-based perspective than stick with that medical narrative.
You have expertise in change management.
Yes.
Mm. Tell us about that. And how does your ADHD help you with that? Because
gosh.
from what I understand about change management, and I've done a lot of work in that area, I'd imagine there's some magic that you can put into that space.
There is, but I would caveat that by also my curiosity and creativity are a couple of my big strengths, which is fantastic at the discovery end of change. So when you're trying to work out why things are happening, and you're trying to work out how people think and feel, and you're just trying to get into, and trying to come up with some creative ways to kind of help people manage the change, etc. So it really helps at that end. But then when you get into the day-to-day part of following a plan a little bit more, and a structure and a timeline, that's where I struggle. I contract, so I move. When I was doing it, I moved around quite a lot, and in hindsight, that suited my, my nature. So I always trying to align myself with strong project managers, just because I knew, without identifying it as a weakness as such, I knew that's where I wasn't as strong. So there's definitely the good bits which come into it, and that curiosity is really important. But then there's there's the challenges that you can't ignore them. So
because change management historically has been very much a linear process.
Not anymore.
How does moving the narrative from the linear to the non-linear?
I've got a strong background in comms as well, so I understand the importance of a strong narrative and strong messaging and all that kind of stuff. It's different for kind of every project or every organization. The key thing is that, and this is what the change management bit, it really helps me with my thriving with the neurodiversity work, because reinforcing and embedding the change is the key part of any change kind of process, I think, and not enough is given to that you implement these changes, and you want people to walk away with the skills and use them, but then if they walk away and just go back to BAU, then nothing will change. So it's the reinforcing and embedding of the changes is such a vital part of any kind of change. So that's kind of like where I really try and focus. And I think that's where, once I've run a course, I hang around for a month, whether it's email, phone calls, whatever, just to kind of answer questions, check in how they're going, and that kind of thing, just to do what I can to, give them that, I guess, that little framework to kind of keep moving. Yeah.
I'm going to change tack a little bit, because when I was reading and researching you, I'm a real animal lover, and one of my favorite animals is goats.
Right.
You have goats.
We have goats. We have 4 goats. We moved down to a country property from a suburban block about 4.5 years ago, and so we moved from 500-600 square meters, whatever it is, to an 1.5 acres. And the whole idea is we would try as many animals as possible that we could fit on within the means to feed them and keep them healthy, etc. So we tried cows at one stage, but the property was way too small, so the cows moved on. When we first moved in, my husband is English, and so he wanted to buy 2 British alpine goats, which alpine was probably not the right kind of goat for us, because they are now in an enclosure with 8-foot fences. Because, funnily enough, they like to jump and climb. But we also we have 2, I think they're rangeland goats, 2 smaller, very cute little goats that we adopted through a rescue this woman went up to New South Wales to rescue 100 baby goats because the parents were being killed off for a new goat meat factory, and the babies were just being left kind of behind. So we took on three-day-old baby goats. Oh my gosh, that was so adorable. We had them inside for quite a while because of the regular feeding, wearing nappies. So they wore nappies. We lost one, unfortunately, but we've still got the two, and they are now so used to us and so friendly. And yeah, we love our goats.
But that's not all, is it?
No, I'll go through some of the other animals before I get to the key ones.
Yeah.
We have cats and dogs and chickens and sheep, a rabbit and a guinea pig, just cause. But we also, my husband does, on the side, does some wildlife rescue, and he's attached to a larger rescue place just near us. And we currently have two, we think they're about 4 or 5 month old wombats, which are in our spare room in an incubator, and we feed them every 4 hours. I have the 2 a.m. shift, and it's just, that's, my daughter and I always wanted the wombats. We had to test ourselves with a couple of possums first to show that we knew what we were doing, but but the wombats are just, oh my God, they're amazing. So yeah, we're very content. I don't mind doing the 2 a.m. feed, to be fair.
Can I ask you because I think animals are amazing, especially with people with neurodiversity, are very attracted to animals.
Yes.
Have you noticed that? How have having those animals around helped yourself, but also your children?
Definitely, my son, who I think is more autism than ADHD, doesn't get as involved because he's a lot more practical, and he's also a lot more worried about, I guess, doing it wrong or becoming attached. So he's got a big thing that I don't want to get attached because they're not staying, and that stops him from the start, to be fair. Whereas my
Yeah.
daughter loves it, and it centers her, and it's where she shows her most maturity, because she's 15, and so with a strong ADHD, so the maturity is a bit lower than some of her friends and stuff, but this is where she really shines. We can leave her a list and go out and know that she'll look after everyone. And it's definitely good for us, because it's that I'm having a stressful day or whatever, or the house is noisy, then I just go out and pat a goat for 10 minutes. Or, or I love my garden as well. But so no, it's definitely, that animal connection is definitely very important for our family. Yeah.
I'm going to have regrets if I don't ask this question, but
Yeah.
do they have names?
Of course. We don't plan to eat them, so we can name them. The goats, the small goats are Paula and Socks. Or do you want the wombats? Do you want the wombat names?
All of them.
No, I'll give you all of them. 6 goats. And the larger goats are Bluey and Bella.
Oh, lovely. No, I'm curious now about the wombats. I can't let it go.
Well, we didn't get to name the wombats, and they came from the rescue place, which has had a lot of wombats. So I think they're running out of names because one's called Pringle and one's called Flash. So, we would have given them something like Frodo or something to do with Lord of the Rings or Star Wars.
Do they show personality much at all at that age?
Slowly. Well, wombats are fascinating because they actually stay in the mum's pouch for about 11 months.
Yeah.
So they are definitely showing different personalities. They're still very much, they don't have much hair still at all, or fur, whatever they call it. So they're slowly starting. They're really like humans about this age, that they slowly become more interesting.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're getting to that stage.
Yeah. We always finish off our chats with what I call the one thing. And what's the one thing you'd love to change to make the world better?
Oh God, just one?
If you just had that little magic wand.
I would start at the beginning for me of, I think, of where a lot of the issues around neuroinclusion start, and I would start in schools. I know some schools are trying to do what they can with limited resources, and some individual teachers are amazing um, and a lot are doing the best they can. Student teachers go through their teaching process and they barely touch on neurodiversity. Now, I think that is slowly changing, but that is the biggest area and impact on neurodiverse individuals, I think, is the schools, because they're just not built, apart from the fact that kids can be awful. They're just to each other. They're just not built for different ways of learning. So I think that is probably where I'd love to apply a magic wand, because it would stop the flow and effect of so many other issues.
Yeah, because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's
Mm.
that flow-on effect, because that's where it all begins, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and some primary school kids, start to form opinions of themselves and of others, and
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what I would do, I think.
No, it's beautiful.
Mm.
Amanda, it's been wonderful chatting with you.
But no, thank you. Yes, it was a great opportunity to have a chat and good questions, so I appreciated it.
Oh, thank you. And I hope everything goes well with Thriving with Neurodiversity. It's so
Thank you.
wonderful to see so many people out there and so many organisations that are
Yeah,
now having the conversation, starting to build services around, that whole
yeah,
concept of thriving.
yeah,
And
yeah. There's such a need for it, and we're making small steps in some areas, but I don't think I'm going to be bored anytime soon. Let's just say that. Yeah, there's a lot to do.
yeah, yeah, there is a lot to do, and
Mm.
it's a privileged space to be in, isn't it?
It is. It is. Who knew that what caused me so much stress for 45 years or more is now something that I can use because lived experience is so important in this process to a lot of people. That, I'm now turning it into something that I really enjoy. So I guess that's a real positive, isn't it? Yeah, that's
It
a
is.
positive way to end.
It is a great way to end. So thank you, Amanda. It's been great to talk to you, and all the best with Thriving with Neurodiversity.